Hi, everyone, and welcome to Juno Sphere, where we learn about a whole sphere of topics and how they are interconnected, just as we are all interconnected. The purpose of this video is to enlighten and entertain you, and maybe even scare you a little. But don't worry, we'll all venture into the misty realms together. In this video, Juno cautiously explores the mischievous creatures known as goblins, hobs, and hobgoblins in an effort to discover more about them and the differences between them. Many of the descriptions and legends overlap. Did you know that there are even undersea goblins? A goblin is an evil or mischievous creature with its origins in French folklore, often described as a hideous, disfigured, or elf-like phantom. The word goblin comes from the French gobelin, which comes from the German name kobold. A goblin is a familiar demon dwelling, according to popular legend, in private houses, chinks of trees, and various other places. In many parts, miners attributed to them the strange noises they heard in the mines. Goblins are believed to live in grottos, but may also attach themselves to households, especially those that have a lot of wine and children. They may help with household chores, but on some nights they show their mischievous nature and instead of doing chores, will create chaos by moving furniture and banging on pots and pans. The goblin, like the gnome, is said to inhabit underground areas such as caves, tunnels, and mines. But unlike the gnome, they can live closer to the surface of the earth, lurking in among tree roots and under hedges. They generally have a more sinister aspect than gnomes, being even more prone to malicious behavior, which is particularly directed toward human beings who may have incurred their wrath. Hopeful goblin spotters may find the creatures in various places around the world that bear their name, such as Goblin Combe in the UK, Yester Castle, and Goblin Ha in Scotland. Goblin Valley in Utah, or at the Gap of Gobelin in France, in a cleft of the Pyrenees, from which the goblins were said to spread rapidly throughout Europe. They are similar in many ways to household spirits in other countries, for instance, brownies in England and Scotland, and domoviks in Russia. In Scandinavia, the word for goblin is skratty or moss people, which equates to a devil or demon. In Tolkien's The Fellowship of the Ring, goblins are similar to the fearsome creatures called orcs, who live underground and are the epitome of evil brute force. Goblins belong to the fairy family and live deep underground or in dark forests where they can avoid daylight. They travel in large groups and delight in harassing and annoying travelers. Other fairies are afraid of goblins as they try to kidnap children and enslave them. It is also said that they sometimes steal women and children and hide them away underground. If a female goblin takes a liking to a human baby, she may steal it away and replace it with a goblin baby or changeling. Legend also has it that goblins borrow horses from stables and ride them all night, leaving the horses exhausted by morning. Whereas goblins typically dwell outside in underground places or in gnarly tree roots, the hobgoblin likes to stay indoors, literally, by the hob or stove, although the word hob can also mean elf. A hobgoblin is a being who is nothing like or as pleasant as a hob, and perhaps not as nasty as a goblin, but this is a matter of opinion. Hobgoblin is the kind of name that English people have used to miscall the honest hob when they are impatient, or an insulting way that Puritans have of addressing goblins whom they associate with demons and other tricky spirits. Shakespeare was aware that if you call someone a bad name, they will begin to take on that nature, for in his A Midsummer Night's Dream, a fairy addresses Puck with, "Those that hobgoblin call you, and sweet Puck, you do their word, and they shall have good luck. Are you not he?" Originally, hobgoblins were protectors of the home, related to the spirits of the ancestors whose corpses were traditionally buried under the threshold or under the central fire, and which guarded the family. Hobgoblins, like other pre Christian entities, were demonized by the Church in its attempt to turn people away from the old religion in favor of the new one. They are also said to count the dead among their companions, and to be able to weave nightmares out of gossamer, and insert them into the ear of a sleeping human. The helpful hob is a brownie like spirit who looks after the health of children, notably curing them of whooping cough, according to North Country traditions in Britain. Hob and Puck from Shakespeare's Midsummer Night's Dream have a lot in common. Like many brownies, Hob must never be given clothing, or he will take offense and cease helping you with your domestic tasks. A nastier kind of hob used to haunt the road between Herworth and Neasham near Darlington, England. Eventually, he was exorcised and conjured under a large stone on that roadside for 99 years. It was said that if anyone ever sat on the stone, Hob would never be able to escape from under it. It has been said that Hob's name comes from an Old English name, Hobthurs, meaning Hob giant. The Habya is a Scottish goblin who ate people and kidnapped children. The only mention of Habyas comes from a single Perthshire story in which they are eaten up by a black dog. Robin Goodfellow is the English hobgoblin or fairy whom Shakespeare associated with Puck in his Midsummer Night's Dream. The name has a euphemistic air to it, as if those who dealt with Robin had to propitiate him with a title that makes him sound more neighborly than he really can be. While Robin Goodfellow may sometimes enable housewives to finish their tasks as would a brownie, most often he plays the trickster. An early 17th century pamphlet titled Robin Goodfellow, His Mad Pranks and Merry Jests speaks of him as the son of Oberon and a country maid. He acquires the gift of shape-shifting and uses this to his own benefit. Robin meets wayfarers out late on the roads and leads them to lose themselves in woods, lakes, bogs, and thickets. Sometimes I meet them like a man, sometimes an ox, sometimes a hound, and to a horse I turn me can, to trip and trot about them round. In Shakespeare's portrayal, Robin Goodfellow, or Puck, is a conniver with Oberon to confuse the Athenian lovers in the wood and to play the trick of making Oberon's mistress, Tatiana, fall in love with an ass, all tricks that Robin much enjoys. The Buggane is a kind of goblin which hails from the Isle of Man in the Irish Sea. It is a swift shape-shifter and has a dangerous and often vicious turn to it. The one that lived in Spooky War, the big waterfall, had a reputation of appearing like a great black calf, which crossed the road and leapt into the pool, making a sound like dragging chains. The story is told of how a Buggane came in humanoid form to a house in Glen Rushen. He abducted a girl who had been working there and put her over his back with the intention of dragging her down into the hollow where the water fell. But seeing how she would soon be drowned if she didn't act quickly, the girl reached into her pocket for her turnip knife, cut the string of her apron, and slipped away before the Buggane was any wiser. In folklore, a goblin is a small, grotesque creature that likes to cause trouble for humans. Some dream interpreters suggest that dreaming of a goblin suggests an awareness that you haven't been as helpful as you could be, the dream goblin representing a secret desire to change the way you act. And just in case you think that being in the ocean will keep you safe from goblins, be aware that there are denizens of the deep known as goblin sharks. What is it with some people who have the tiresome habit of feeling they have evolved from belief in fairies and other such neighbors of ours, actively encouraging the metamorphosis of friendly spirits into unfriendly ones? Have you ever had any experiences with these curious creatures? Let me know in the comments below. For more legends and superstitions, as well as many other fun and fascinating topics, please check out the growing library of videos on Junosphere. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share, and jingle that bell for notifications. I am so appreciative of your support. Thanks for tuning in, and I invite you to tune into Junosphere again soon. You never know what you might learn. Bye.